Record to this computer. Alrighty. So this question is one that I came up with today because I was reading, I can't remember what it was that I was making the slides for this and there's a compass and I was like, oh wait, so like the compass needle and then like with the Theseus and the Minotaur kind of like that was like a thread or a needle or whatever. So are there any word plays that you guys noticed throughout the book? And maybe it's not something that it wasn't like totally evident to me to begin with. But like a couple of them that I was thinking about was like holloway, which is like hollow way, like
or hallway.
Or hallway, right.
Yeah.
And then like the compass needle and like which like the compass wasn't working, but then like he was using the fishing line. And then like I was thinking, well, maybe like the fishing line could have been like him kind of fishing for answers or fishing for the monster or like and then the other one was toward the end again with Navidson or Navy, which is like on the sea. And there was something in the book about him being likened to Jonah, who was like thrown in the sea to the monster or to the whale
Right.
or the big fish. And it's like, okay, so like, I don't know, I was noticing like a lot of these little wordplay things and it kind of made me think maybe that's like part of what this is like, it feels like the author was just is having a lot of fun with word plays and playing with like different aspects of words and then just leading off from there into another thing, which leads into another thing. And it's like, maybe that's all it really is. Exactly. Like, it's just like one connection after the other. And yeah, I don't know.
That's interesting. I missed the part about like Jonah and then like think about like Jonah and the whale and then like the place, the institution where the mother was the whale's toe.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
So is that the whale?
Yeah, that is interesting, actually.
So yeah, that is interesting. I didn't pick up on any of the word plays, but that's interesting. I like that connection that you made.
What do you guys think the House of Leaves is? I guess is maybe could be tied into that a little bit.
Ooh.
That was the title of the book that he had in his hand.
Yes.
Am I not supposed to say that?
Yeah.
Okay, well, the second trip that Navidson had taken, the book that he took along with him was called The House of Leaves.
Yeah. I don't remember that for some reason.
Because then he used each page to have some light.
Oh, yes.
Page, and it was from The House of Leaves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was at the very end. How did you know about that?
Because I read that part. He's still stuck in the house.
Yes.
I am almost to the end, I think.
Oh, okay.
And if you wanted to read it, it was on like page like 465.
Yep.
Is where they mention the actual book, like the name of the book that he has with him. Mm-hmm. But it's 736 pages long.
Yes.
Which the book that I have is less pages than that.
Some pages are missing.
True.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's because he burned them.
Maybe.
Whoa. Yeah.
Technically, he burned a lot of them. He burned like all of them because he was running out of pages and but
yeah.
Basically, but yeah.
That's interesting. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Like, and like Johnny making a note or the editor or something like that there were burn marks on this page or that page.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't even think about that. That's interesting. But yeah, I had a couple notes about this. So on page 350, there was a line, and it was in Johnny's part. And it said, "It's amazing how many people save at least a few letters during their lifetime. Leaves a feeling. tucked away in a guitar case, a safety deposit box, a hard drive, or even preserved in a pair of old boots no one will ever wear. Some letters keep, some don't. And so that part, Johnny was leading into a story about the letter inside a locket that he got from his mother when she died. He inherited this letter, and inside was a letter that I think he had written to her.
I think so.
She had kept that sort of precious. And so I was thinking, okay, so House of Leaves of Feelings, the house seems to change. Okay, so yeah, I like the idea of letters being referred to as like leaves of feeling. This book is House of Leaves. So it's like a house of leaves of feelings. And then the house seemed to change per person based on their feelings, emotions, expectations. And then, yeah, at the end, when Navy's on the brink of nothingness and he has nothing left except for a few matches and the book he brought along, House of Leaves, which he burned. Like, that was kind of cool, but yeah, I don't know. Like, I sort of felt like, is that supposed to be the book we're reading now? Is there supposed to be some weird, like, cool sub-reality parallel? But it sort of fell flat. I felt like they didn't follow through.
Yeah.
I don't know. How do you guys feel about that?
I was really confused about it too, because I'm like, wait a minute. And I'm like, okay, well then is the house just like timeless? Like it doesn't, but then he would have had to brought the book in there. So like, is he just reading about himself? Like,
right? Like
I was really confused about that.
It's like, oh, the author of this book is lazy. He's just going to name the book after the book that he has the guy carrying.
And they never say who the author is of the book that Navy has called House of Leaves.
Right.
And it's like, oh, well, that would have been cool. And then maybe that would have been a better tie back. It wouldn't have been exceptional, but it would have been
at least
it would have been something.
Callback to something.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and on that same line too, on page 512, when Johnny is like, he got off of a train or whatever and is having some cheap drinks or whatever, he's listening to a band and they're playing a song called 5.5 Minute Hallway. And it's basically, that's the name of one of the films, and it's about the book, and the band member, he talks to the band about it, and they actually have the House of Leaves book.
They're like, yeah, we found it on the internet.
Yeah.
And then Johnny would make some comment about like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have posted that on the internet or something. And it was like, well, when did you do that? And then I'm like, is it Johnny talking? Is it the author talking? Like, who put it on the internet? And when did he do that? Somewhere in between him, like, I don't know, selling his car and jumping on a hobo train? Like, I don't get it. Like,
right, like, I'm like, okay. Like, I'm reading the second edition, so does that mean that they're reading they had the first edition or whatever, and like this was added in after as like an addendum to like, oh hey, this extra stuff happened, or like, I was like, what?
Oh, interesting. Like, will there always be more editions of the book?
Oh God, I hope not.
That's kind of the impression I was getting. I was kind of getting that impression that like, I was thinking. Actually, like, as I was trying to think about what the author was kind of going through, like how he decided to put this thing together, I was thinking, well, maybe he did just start with the House of, like, the Navidson Report. And then he just, like, was like, maybe he just added things in more and more, like, oh, now that this story is done, I can expound on it in this way, and then just kind of make it more complicated. And then, so yeah, like, and then there was something that I was reading that made me think maybe he is just going to put more editions out there and like add new things in. And I don't know what made me think that. Maybe just the fact that there were footnotes that said edition, like edition 1, or like, I'm not sure, but.
Yeah, and it's weird because it's like, right? The guy in the band's like, take a look for yourself, but be careful, it'll change your life. And it's like, House of Leaves by Zampano. Yeah, with introduction and notes by Johnny Truant. And it's like,
right.
Yeah, so when did he put it online? And then like, does that song really exist out there?
I have no idea, I didn't look it up.
And if it does exist, was it made before or after the book? Did someone make a song?
Right.
I have no idea. I mean, this is just a story, right?
Right. Oh man. Yeah, I was thinking too, just a little addition to, well, when I first was looking at it, I was like, oh wait, House of Leaves, it's like, you know, leaves of a page, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's obvious. And then like, it's
which
like,
still's cool.
Which is still cool. But yeah, like maybe I like your idea of like the letters being, or like the leaves being meaning feeling, and like the house being a house of feeling, and also that the fact the house, people leave this house, like, so it's a house that people leave. Well, the house that, the house that was for sale or whatever, like the realtor said that, oh, it'll sell, like, or it always sells.
Yeah, it always sells.
Yeah.
Ooh, the House of Leaves.
Yeah, like leaving.
Like levers.
Yes. Not levers, but levers.
But also, like, okay, so you know how you were saying, like, about the book and, like, how he was burning them and stuff, like, the fact that he didn't get out of the house until he was, like, basically had burned all of those pages, do you think that means he finally got through all of his feelings and was therefore able to leave?
Ooh.
Oh, there you go.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Interesting. Right, because he was like, he wasn't, like, he was reading, but he was also just thinking about his whole self and all of his feelings as he's watching each page burn down and, like, to nothing, and
maybe the House of
light
Leaves
flashing before his eyes
is like the ship of Theseus, in the fact that, like, there are always parts being burned out or pulled out, and the next person who comes upon a different story, but it's continued to be the House of Leaves because that's what the title is.
Ooh.
So, like, it's always changing, and there's it's always 700 and whatever pages, but pages keep getting burned out and different theories. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're not familiar with Ship of Theseus, it's the idea that, like, if you keep replacing boards and sails and different parts of the ship, is it still the same ship if all the parts have been changed?
That's true. That's a
thinker
question too.
Yeah.
So
that'd be really cool though if that was like different editions had actual different stuff, or like some of Johnny's notes were newer notes, like maybe those would have been in a different color or something, or dated differently, or
true.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
So going way back, if you were, well, maybe not necessarily way back, but in general, if you were Karen, how would you feel about Navidson wanting to film you and your family's life? And would your opinion have changed if your house was known to have something uncanny about it, such as if it was haunted, or like this house, it's bigger on the inside? And, how would you guys feel about that?
No.
Yeah, I'd probably say no, but if the house was what it was,
then
and we weren't going to leave, then I would say yes, because if something weird's going to happen, we need some evidence.
Yes.
I feel like, yeah, for one, like, no. I mean, she knows that she's familiar with him. He is like a camera guy, and like, he likes, you know, she knows what she's gotten into in theory. But like, I don't know, like, to me, that would be too much, unless it actually was haunted and there were hauntings in like every house, every room.
Right.
But since this is just like, I don't know, to me, it just seems mostly about the hallway. I feel like maybe I would just want the cameras on the hallway or like the entrance or something. Like, I don't really. That would just
originally,
be weird. Like,
it was a project started just because he wasn't going to be going out and doing his journalism. He was just going to stay in the house. And so he was just capturing the everyday life, which I wouldn't be okay with that. And even if it was like actually like paranormally haunted, like, you know, like ghosts or whatever, still say no. Mostly because in every single horror movie, it's a bad thing to do it because it just pisses them off more. But like, if it was actually like what it is, like, you know, growing rooms and stuff, then yeah, I'd be fine. Like, fine, sure. Put them on wherever, and then if we catch some stuff, that's fine, but then they're coming down. Like, they can't be up for an extended period of time.
Right. We're going to erase everything that's not paranormal.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I don't want every single conversation to be recorded. Like,
right.
That's just weird.
Or every interaction, or,
right,
you know, like it's too personal.
Yeah, like
I don't know, work at a gas station and you get that all the time.
Yeah. Well, it's different when it's a different situation, but when you're in the privacy of your own home, you just want to let go and
yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I would not want to be recorded.
I just thought that was interesting. What do you guys think about, like, why do you think Karen allowed it? I guess maybe would be a better question.
Maybe to keep him home.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
And they were pretty used to having him filming them anyway. I mean, not in every room, of course, but I mean, for them, it wasn't all that abnormal.
Yeah, that's fair. So these upcoming slides are more or less kind of comments, which we can kind of just discuss and branch off. Page 115, footnote 139. This is what happens when you hurry through a maze. The faster you go, the worse you are entangled. If one reads too quickly or too slowly, one understands nothing. There might be something more because I didn't put the entirety of quotes and stuff on these slides.
No, that was
that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
They were just short little things.
Yeah.
They were just interesting. Like, those were like actual like interesting footnotes to me where like they make a lot of sense.
Yeah, some of the footnotes were interesting and like kind of made you just think about things, like not necessarily the story.
Oh, right.
But just kind of like, I don't know, life. And that's funny that you pulled this one out, Miranda, because that's actually kind of how the book reads. It's like, if you read it too quickly, you're confused because you're missing references and words that don't, you haven't heard before and whatever. But then if you're reading too slowly, it's like you've already forgotten what the first part of the sentence was. And you're like, so exactly. It is exactly how the book reads. So
that's one of the reasons why I picked that particular quote, because I was like, this is very accurate for this book in general. And I feel like the same with the maze thing, like the faster you go, the worse you are entangled. Like, I feel like that kind of explained most of the expeditions into the house. Like,
interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like
the faster they went, like Holloway, Jed, and Wax, the faster they were trying to like hurry and rush, the more they got like lost and
Interesting.
That is interesting. Yeah, and then chapter 7, compass not working. Would that freak you guys out? What would you think is the cause? Magnetization and energy vortex, place not really existing.
I think in that place that would freak me out. I probably would have leaned more towards like there's some kind of magnetization happening in the ground or in
some kind of spatial distortion or something.
I feel like if it was me using the compass, I would probably think that I was reading it wrong.
Well, I would think that about myself too. Well, and she did. Got a second one.
Right, because it wasn't that it was just like sitting there, it was like spinning. So like it couldn't find true north because it couldn't
find it.
Right, like there was no pull to that direction. So I think it would creep me out, but I think I would try and find a scientific reason before I would go to anything else.
You buzzed, Mom. That's why we
Yeah,
looked
that
weird for a
was,
second.
Oh.
I
sorry.
was like, what was that?
It's
Yeah.
okay.
That was a message.
Okay, works.
Yeah, page 119, footnote 144. This is the footnote in a square that goes through several pages, just listing off things that are not present in the house. This is something that we mentioned before. Yeah, so just one of those artistic, you could say, choices from the author.
Yeah.
hmm
And page 114. The idea that how a labyrinth appears depends on your perspective, such as standing above, looking down versus walking within. There might be something more on that one.
There's a quote.
Oh, yes, yes.
So maze treaders, whose vision ahead and behind is severely constricted and fragmented, suffer confusion, whereas maze viewers who see the pattern whole from above or in a diagram are dazzled by its complex artistry. What you see depends on where you stand, and thus, at one and the same time, labyrinths are single, there is one physical structure, and double. They simultaneously incorporate order and disorder, clarity and confusion, unity and multiplicity, artistry and chaos. They may be perceived as a path, a linear but circuitous passage to a goal, or as a pattern, a complete symmetrical design. Our perception of labyrinths is thus intrinsically unstable. Change your perspective and the labyrinth seems to change.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us for our discussion on the House of Leaves. Be sure to stay tuned for more in the coming weeks. Also, remember to come on over to Twitter or Instagram and say hi to us. There you can enjoy some intermittent content, including what we're up to, how our reading is coming along, and general reading inspiration. Let us know in the comments if you've ever read House of Leaves and what you thought about it. Whether or not you've read House of Leaves, let us know what you're reading right now and how you're liking it. That's all for now. Take good care of yourself and happy reading.